And welcome back. Devolution Cabinet Secretary Mwangi Kiunjuri joins me now on the big question. Welcome to the program. So there's serious mixed signals coming from government as to whether or not we are in fact in a crisis situation. From where you sit, are we in crisis over drought?
First, may I correct the position that there is no confusion. We issued a statement 2 weeks ago. And before we issued that statement, we did consultation with all the relevant ministries and other agencies dealing with the food situation in the country and the drought situation. Two is that we have the early warning system, and the National Drought Management Authority is charged with that responsibility. They do the monitoring of the situation in the country from January to January. And therefore, every 1 month, they give us a brief on what is happening. Two, we have an interagency, interministerial committee that sits every 1 month, which comprises of our key ministries, the Ministry of Water, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock, Ministry of Devolution, we have the Interior, we have Health, Ministry of Health, Education, we have the Meteorological Department. They all sit down to monitor the situation in the country. So
you're saying this is not a crisis?
It's not a crisis.
So what do you call 1.3 million people facing starvation?
First, you have Kenyans must understand that at any given time, there is 1.5 million Kenyans that we feed on a monthly basis. In 2013, there were 2.5 million people that were being fed by the government. We have reduced this number now to 1.5. Of the 1.5, 1.3 million are now being faced by the situation changing, which is 9 counties, and they are in the 23 counties in the country, the ASO counties. Of the 23 counties, we have 9 counties which are at least normal up to now, because we have been giving them food supply in a normal way. 10 of them are now serious, yeah, which now classify as a alert situation. And 4 of them are now critical. That is Garissa, Kwale, Kilifi, and Lamu. And
so of the 10 that are serious and the 4, so how many are we talking about who are in a who are seriously food insecure, if I would put that way?
To this far, the 14 of them need now a supply.
How many are we? How many people are we talking about?
We are talking about of the 1.5 million, about 900,000 people who now require full ration. For example, throughout the year, we provide food to all those counties, but the level at which we supply is about sustaining them for 10 days, then they can be able to sustain themselves. In August this year, we were warned early enough that already the 4 counties are getting to an alert situation. What did we do? We asked the government for extra money from the contingency fund, and the government provided 250 million. National Drought Management Authority provided 50 million. And with the 300 million, we started cushioning the counties. But the situation is worsening each and every day because of the depressed rainfall.
And yet you're saying that the early warning systems worked. So how is it then that you were unable to preempt a crisis?
We have been able to do that because progressively, from August and September, and you bear me witness, you saw me in Mombasa in August. I toured, I overflew all those areas. We gave food to both Kilifi, Kwale. We went back to Saburu, and therefore we have been providing food and monitoring. It's only that the situation is becoming worse. For example, the water reservoirs that we had, the water ponds and small dams, are now drying out. And the crisis as it is right now, because it is important, you know, the Swahili says, Mugara muwe, lakini mpe haki yake. A time like this, 3 years ago, we will not be talking about people who are sleeping hungry or who are threatened. We would be speaking of death in the country.
So you have at least confirmed to me in just your last answer that this in fact is a crisis. You are considering it a crisis. So of Kilifi, Garissa, Kwale and Lamu, I think being the 4 that are most insecure, what provisions are we looking at? Are they completely out of food, water, and all other basic necessities? And how does that differ from the other counties that are insecure?
You know, this depends on what you call crisis, the way you want to define crisis.
It's the word that you used, sir.
Because what we are saying is that we are getting to a critical, some of them are critical, meaning that already, if you don't deal with it, it will become a crisis. For me, I think it will become a crisis when the government cannot handle the situation. To this far,
I was only making reference to the word that you actually used in answering my question.
No, the situation is worsening. I'm admitting the situation is worsening each and every one day because the rains are not coming. For example, we expected the rains to be the last 2 weeks. They are not there. Already what we expect again are depressed rainfalls again and poorly distributed. Meaning the government is laying out strategy on how we shall deal with this situation the first 3 months. And that is where we have set aside the 5 billion now to be able to cushion us in the next 3 months.
And so of these 4 counties, what are their specific needs?
For now, and again, I would like us to look at in the many phases. For now, what are we doing? In the 4 counties, now we are giving them 15 kilograms. For example, rice, 10 kgs of beans. We have doubled every allocation to ensure that now we are feeding them the 3 meals per day.
That is to serve what? What is that's being allocated to what group of people?
Everybody now. We are now targeting each and every family because everybody is depressed. But also we should remember that much as this situation we are facing is worsening, the government has been there cushioning these people. For example, the 4 counties of Turkana, Wajir, Marsabit, and Madera, we have the hunger safety net, whereby each and every family, 96,000 families, are receiving 2,700 shillings a day. We also have cash for asset and food for asset. This is a program with the World Bank, with the World Food Program, whereby another 700,000 from the 14 counties are receiving either food for work or are receiving money for work. Again, this program has been ongoing for the last 2 years. Again, we have the social protection from the Ministry of East African Community and Labour. Again, another 500,000 Kenyans are also receiving cash transfer, 2,000 every 1 month from the government.
So how are you determining who's receiving what? Who is actually receiving the food supplies and who's receiving the cash transfers? Or are there cases where you're receiving both food supplies and cash transfers?
In now, most of the cases now, because it's now, when you're faced by this kind of a situation, you don't go ahead now start asking people, are you receiving, not receiving, although we have the systems that we can identify. But what we are doing for now is that we are cushioning everybody for now. But some of these counties, that's why you can see, there are 4 counties that are seriously affected. Again, what is worsening the situation is that even their source of livelihood, the livestock, you look at the animals' bodies are deteriorating. And there is a lot of movement and even conflict coming up now.
Fair enough, but before we get to livestock, I just want to clarify again who's getting what. So of these 95,000 households that you're talking about receiving the cash transfer, they are also part of the 910,000 who are receiving daily rations of food. Is that correct?
They are part of it.
Okay.
In fact, again, I want to bring to the attention of Kenyans, that those Kenyans who we cushioned even before, when the drought situation comes in, hunger comes in, they are the first to be affected. But what we are trying to look at now is total isolation. For example, an area like Turkana, where we would have expected now to be at a critical position, they are still okay, they are normal. So this far we are dealing with them as normal, because they are being cushioned in so many other ways.
And yet area leaders are saying that these monies, this food, is not getting to the most needy persons.
If you ask those leaders today whether any of them have ever visited our ministry and whether they have ever alerted the government on the food situation and we are never provided with food, they will tell you, yes, they have been getting food. What the argument is, and that is true, the fact is that as drought escalates, they need more food now. Those families that would have required support for 10 days now require 20 days. Those who required 15 days now require 30 days support. It's about food increase and the ratio of distribution. Otherwise, You also bear me witness that to this far, we have not been informed of any Kenyan who has died out of hunger.
And because you keep saying that the situation is deteriorating and there are projections that it should continue till August next year, what measures have you put in place to ensure that we don't get to that, to reporting that a life has been lost?
There is a number of interventions being done. For example, today, 3 o'clock, I met all the donor community and other stakeholders. We held a meeting agreeing from World Food Program. We had the Red Cross with us, UNICEF, UNDP, and all of us are agreeing that we pool resources together. We have formed a committee to monitor on a daily basis, because some issues are now getting worsening, like, for example, malnutrition. That's one area that is now threatening. And UNICEF is up to task. We have Red Cross also coming in, and therefore those agencies are being coordinated. We had a meeting today. We have been having every week a meeting, interministerial meeting, and there is a standing committee that is monitoring the situation. Meaning, for example, you have set aside the 5 billion, of which 1.6 billion will go to special programs to buy food. We have 740 million that will go to food nutrition, that's the Ministry of Health. We have set aside money for animal offtake, so that the weak animals, we buy them. We shall give them back to the community. They will slaughter them there. Others will try to see whether we can get a pasture somewhere, but we buy them as offtake.
And how many animals are you planning to buy, and how much money has been set aside for that?
I will not give specific number of animals, but you have set aside 1.3 billion.
And how much are you roundly looking at purchasing animals for?
The prices will be determined. We look at first the local markets as they could have been before, because we are cushioning them. We are not going to buy them at a throwaway price, because we want this farmer, once the rains comes back, they can be able to restock. Other factors.
But what assurance can you give them that it will not fall desperately below market value?
They have been assured, because by the end of the day, we are not taking advantage of our pastoralists.
There must be a range you're working with.
The range will be determined, it is being decided, and also there will be participation. Once we get to a county, we shall have to engage the community. They have to participate in the first, the offtake. They will agree on how many number of animals. For now, 10% of our cattle are threatened. 3% goat in the population of their counties threatened. Meaning, we shall also look at the areas. Which area is more affected? Because you get some counties like now Kilifi. That is critical. We have now to almost do a large number of offtake than other counties. So are you yet to determine the counties where the offtake will be a priority issue? The first 14 The first 14? The 10 that are already serious and the critical ones. But also we shall be monitoring the other areas, like Kipia, areas of Kieni, Isiolo. Those areas will be monitored. And so if a farmer wants to participate in the offtake program, how do they go about doing that? Most of the people that would like to participate are not other farmers from other areas. For example, if you are from the counties that are already okay, the rains are going on well, you have the advantage also to come. You negotiate the prices, and therefore you can be able to buy and move the animals. But other critical area is about water, because even these animals are not really dying because of pasture. Not most, a good percentage is not dying because of lack of pasture. Because of water. It is because of water. And this is where now the intervention, because the first line is the county government. We are working with them closely, because they also have a responsibility. Sometimes you are agreeing, like Garissa. The Garissa governor has taken over the issue of water, and we are giving him food. When you come to Kilifi, we partnered with the county government. They are providing food, we are providing food. We are also doing emergency boreholes. Yeah, it's very difficult to get a borehole that we get fresh water. But we have tried for the last 4 boreholes. We have drilled. At least 2 of them are now needed fresh water. And so does that depend county by county, like what the county government is giving vis-a-vis national government? It depends. We are partnering. But what we have taken now, action as government, we have put aside 400 million to rehabilitate the boreholes. Because we have come to realize that about 700 boreholes cannot yield water. When did you realize that? After we have been doing the assessment, You see, some of these functions are concurrent, some are concurrent, but some are domiciled at the county level. So what are we doing? We really now do not want to start saying that this is a county function, this is a government, national government function. As a government, we are stepping in to ensure that we rehabilitate 320 of them in the next 2 weeks. Again, that will ease the pressure from both the county government and also stress from the pastoralist. So we have put measures. And again, some of these issues are important so that Kenyans can now be able to say, how do we draw these boundaries? When we want to say this is national government and this is a function of a county government, again, we have to understand this, that when we are faced by this kind of a situation, we should work together. It's not a question of now starting arguing on who should do it.
Let me take you to the question of being food secure, because that has been claimed. When you talk about Kenya being food secure, how many bags are you saying we have in the cereals reserve, for instance?
I would not like to go deep into it, but the information is there. For example, we are buying 2 million bags. Already the Minister of Agriculture announced that. As a country, we are okay. The 40 million bags that we expect every year, that is already there. We are going to have a good harvest, and our strategic reserves will be okay. So the question is not whether the country has got enough strategic reserve.
The question is
distributing it now and the areas affected.
Why is distribution a challenge?
It's not really a challenge. It's a question of there are some areas that are really affected. That is the 23 counties. They are affected. But the food basket in the country is still okay. Meaning, the issue is, are we doing the proper offtake again? Are we able to cushion those areas in good time? The answer is yes. If you go to National Cereals and Produce Board, we have enough maize. Yeah? And we are taking it at cost already to ensure that our farmers also get good prices. Now the government is buying maize, a bag of 90 kgs for 2,800. If you look at the distribution we are doing, we are not exporting anything. We are buying food locally.
Where is the Galana Kulalu project in all of this? How much does it contribute to that strategic reserve? The Ministry of Water and Irrigation, who is in charge of that project, has already contributed towards this 62,000 bags of maize. In fact, in our budget, what we are looking at, distribution of maize every month, this maize will be able to take us for about 45 to 60 days. To serve a population of how many?
To serve the country.
To serve the entire country?
The 23 counties. That project alone will give us 62,000 bags, which are it's already there. For example, now we are not going to transport any more maize to the coastal region, because already the maize is already there. Under
your watch, come August next year, no Kenyan should have died of food insecurity.
We are praying God that we shall keep up the pace. We have tried so far. And as I said, once again, it is good also to give credit where it's due, that up to this far. And if you look at the situation, for example, what happened in South Africa this year alone, yeah, the struggle they have gone through, and the region as a whole, it is about climate change. It's not just solely blaming the government on what you have not done.
Maybe it's also about poor planning. It's about not irrigating farms. It's about not mechanizing.
We have done a lot come to food improvement of food situation. And if you look at the government plan, the Vision 2030, the MTP2, the pillars that are already there, for example, peace and conflict, the issue of infrastructure, the issue of sustainable livelihood, the government is really doing very, very well.
Well, the public will be the judge of that, but I think this is one issue where all Kenyans can agree. We certainly wish you success, because no Kenyan should die because they don't have food.
You would say our rifle base, and in fact the president has issued a directive to us that he doesn't want to hear of a person dying.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Again, he has made it very clear to us that no Kenyan should go to sleep hungry.
That shouldn't happen.
That's the priority of the government.
That certainly shouldn't happen.
It's the responsibility of this government, and I can assure you, all of us, the president himself is chairing this committee. Every 2 weeks, we have to go and report progress to His Excellency the President.
Let's take a break. We're back with the business after this. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.